Somewhere out in the vast, untamed wilderness of the Mojave Desert lies a special archaeological site forgotten to time. On the surface, the evidence of this prehistoric civilization is hard to see, but when one looks closely, we realize, like many places in the American Southwest, that a thriving culture once existed where now lay only rocks and dust. So we got word with our secret treasure map right here. This is an old study in cultural heritage that there may be some petroglyphs that are thousands of years old scattered here on some rocks. The directions are extraordinarily vague, but I think we're gonna go scout around and hopefully we'll find them. So this place is absolutely full of these basalt boulders, and something tells me that these petroglyphs are so old that the desert varnish has essentially reclaimed them, and it's almost impossible to see them. But there are areas out here where it looks like there were some hunting blinds, and my theory is that the people who would live down in this canyon here where there is a spring would come up here as a way to scout the land to see where the animals are. Obviously, a long time ago, there would have been far more water, would have been a far more bounteous and lush environment for large animals. And you can even kind of tell there's a trail that comes down this way. So they would have walked up that wash there, up this hump, in this direction. So I don't think these kind of petroglyphs are the type you might expect, the bighorn sheep, but there are other signs of these rocks having been pecked. If you check out this right here, it's a little bit hard to see, but you can kind of tell there's some pecking. There's a little circle here too. So they're very, very faint because they're probably extraordinarily old. And after a while, they do vanish. I imagine shamans arriving here at night, attracted by the glowing rocks. From here, the commanding views offer a sense of power and connection to the surrounding land. Looking toward the sky, they pondered the light glittering from the heavens above. Taking two rocks, they pound them together to send sounds deep into that vast unknown, hoping to evoke someone or something that lives in the reaches beyond. Before heading home in the early hours of the morning, in order to remember the ephemeral visions, they would inscribe those images onto the rocks. So here's some good evidence of ancient habitation here. You have clearly what was used as some kind of either grinding stone, but I've also heard that the people who were here would pound rocks in order to communicate with people far across the canyon. So this could be a place where someone might have taken a rock and pounded down on this rock in order to communicate with someone maybe a mile or two away. So here's a pretty clear petroglyph on this rock. You can see the circular formation and this little kind of key coming off. And on the top looks like there's some kind of, I don't know, lines up there. And this right here as well. Maybe this is where, you know, they would bang the rock to send a signal across the canyon over there. I like to think that this is a map of sorts, perhaps indicating this hill and the paths leading toward it. So it looks here like you can kind of see some very, very, very faint markings that are being repatinated. And over here you have, looks like a snake, or probably more likely a water course. Again, very hard to make out, pretty repatinated, very old. So imagine that probably right there represents that down there. All right, folks, I think we found the mother lode. We just happened to come down a trail that was on that side, and we're going back up on the other side, and that's where the majority of the more obvious petroglyphs are. So take a look at this. These look a lot like the curvilinear style that we saw in the Eastern Sierra, but clearly pecked, circles, maybe an atlatl hunting. This rock right here is broken apart, but there's clearly some petroglyphs on this one too. There's some down here. What do they mean?
Well, this is cool because it was carved before the rock broke. This is where it would have been attached right here.
Huh. How many hundreds of years does it take for a rock to split apart completely like that? A very long time. But just when you think you're done, here's another very, very, very faded petroglyph that I cannot even barely make out. I'm gonna take a picture of it and use de-stretch and see if we can get it better that way. So I wanted to demonstrate to you how the people who lived here would have created these petroglyphs. These are not scratched on, they're not etched out, they're actually pecked on. So they would have taken some kind of hammerstone like this. Maybe this was the hammerstone that was used. And they would have come up here and used a smaller pecking stone. I'm not going to put it on the rock, but they would have put it on the rock and started hammering it in bit by bit by bit until they created that formation there. So you have that one right there, but you also have one up here. It's hard to see it. This one looks like it's a series of circles. Pretty tough to see, but what was the significance? We may never know. That's okay, but it is a sign that people were here. Thanks for coming along with us on this journey back in time. If you ever come across these ancient archaeological sites, please tread lightly, respect the stories that they tell, and preserve the sanctity of the land by protecting their locations and the artifacts they contain. I'll see you next time.